Hi again, Attorney Steve Vondran here with you. Today we're talking about financial elder abuse. Now, our firm handles financial elder abuse. We've been helping elderly victims for the last several years in helping to recover and vindicate their rights against predators who seek to prey on them in a variety of different ways. We've seen all sorts of different things that people are willing to do because they know someone is a little bit weaker, getting up there in years, a little bit older, and vulnerable. Okay? So, let me tell you a little bit, some facts on financial elder abuse, some things to think about. Financial elder, first of all, the elderly segment of our society is the fastest growing segment of society. People are living longer, there's better drugs and prescriptions and medications and medical procedures to help people live a longer, happier life. So this is a fast and it's a growing segment of society. In addition, this is known as financial elder abuse. There are reportedly about 200,000 victims a year of financial elder abuse. Okay, the stats are that the seniors and elders, and when we're talking about that, we're talking about people over 65 years of age in California under the Welfare and Institutions Code, which is the code section that is one of the main sections that you will go after a financial predator under these sections, and we'll talk about that in a second. But basically, they have studies and statistics have shown that there's been over $3.8 billion in losses to elders as victims of this sort of financial elder abuse. And the stats are that one in every 5 seniors loses money or property at the hands of a financial predator. So this is a huge problem. It's because with the economy tightening, money becoming harder to come by for a lot of people, they see the elder with the property and the bank accounts, maybe some stock holdings, maybe some intellectual property holdings, and they find them at a tough time, or they exert their undue influence on them, coercion, all sorts of things to try to acquire the property of the elder. And it's really tragic. A lot of these incidences are not reported because it's embarrassing. We have several cases where the plaintiff, the elderly person, was trying to manage their own affairs. Everybody has pride and we all like to think that we can handle everything that we're doing in our lives, but there comes a time when the kids will start digging into it and they'll go, what the heck happened here? I can't believe this. This is atrocious. So you'll see these kinds of things, so a lot of these things don't get reported until after the fact. But these are the types of things that we see are really predatory. And I've made up a few names. Attorney Steve always working to keep things interesting here. But you have things like the ruthless relative, okay? The person that's trying to get the power of attorney or misusing a power of attorney, or forging signatures, or getting the elderly person to sign things they shouldn't be signing. So I call it the ruthless relative. And you'll see these cases, you'll see ruthless ex-spouses, ex-boyfriends, cases where people are having things signed on someone's deathbed or while they're in the care units. Things like that are really sad and improper. We have the slimy salespersons. Slimy salespersons trying to sell you things you don't need, packing you, mortgage loans where they charge you $40,000 in fees and they didn't even look at whether a reverse mortgage may have been in your best interest. So steering people into loans that aren't good for you. Those kinds of things. The door-to-door salesman coming in. I've heard stories of door-to-door salesmen coming in and getting drunk with the elderly person, having a couple drinks and then getting them to sign and buy things that they don't need, packing on fees. The car dealer that brings you in and packs you away in the finance office, puts you in a 5-6 year lease, packing in extra legs and different financing things, getting you to buy things you don't need, ripping you off on your trade, basically things like that. You have insurance salesmen selling you worthless annuities, things that you don't need. Those kinds of things. That's what I call the slimy salesperson. And those cases need to be examined. If you're an elderly or you know an elderly person and you say, what on earth? I mean, what kind of person would do that to you? Give us a call. You may have a case. You may have a case for money damages. Our number is 877-276-5084. Now let's give you a couple other things. We have predatory professionals. What is the predatory professional? Well, that could be just about anybody. That's anyone from your attorneys, your accountants, investment advisors, financial planners, stock broker dealers, real estate agents, brokers, I mean all sorts of things. People that you trust. Another big one now that you see is these law centers where they don't really even have any attorneys there. And call us before you're considering hiring a law center. Give us a call because we typically will look at their website and see if there's any attorneys on there. There's a lot of companies that are coming up right now that are runners out trying to get business for law firms, and they're calling themselves law centers. And so these things you have to be careful about, but they're ripping people off, people that are taking money to file bankruptcy for people in foreclosure, and they're never filing bankruptcy, or promising to put you on a lawsuit, taking $5,000 up front and not putting you on a lawsuit. So you have the predatory professionals, and then you have the conniving caretaker, or the cunning caretaker. I'm still working on which one I like better. They both fit. The caretaker, that the person that's in that position of trust, taking care of you, and trying to then basically say, well, why don't you sign a will and make me the beneficiary here, blah, blah, blah. Those kinds of things. So, where you have these things, I mean, these really need to be examined, these kinds of incidents. And, where elders are being abused, the courts in California will take a good close look at this, and so will our firm. We'll take a good look to see if you might have a case for money damages, punitive damages, attorney's fees, those kinds of things. So give us a call. We're an elder abuse law firm. Once again, 877-276-5084, or easy way to find me is at attorneysteve.net. Now let's talk real quick in general terms about some of the elements of financial elder abuse. Basically, financial elder abuse is taking, secreting, appropriating, or retaining real or personal property of an elder or dependent adult to a wrongful use or with the intent to defraud, or both. Typically it's bad faith taking of the elder's property and not returning it. Those are the kinds of things, and those are the kinds of things where, again, the courts are going to look at those things. If somebody else is obviously not entitled to your personal, your real property, personal property being money and those kinds of things, taking your money in bad faith, then you may have a case for elder abuse. Elder abuse, like I said, is under the Welfare and Institutions Code, 15610.30 and thereafter. And so take a look at that if you're interested. And, some important things to know about financial elder abuse. You have a right to a jury trial. You have a right to take this to a jury. And you don't need necessarily a fiduciary capacity to have a case for financial elder abuse. It does not have to be with a trustee or a fiduciary. So those are some important things to say. As I mentioned, the slimy salesperson, the ruthless relative. Typically you don't have fiduciary relationships in those sorts of settings, but still you may have a case for financial elder abuse. Now, another interesting factor to the elder abuse is they do have some nice provisional remedies. What's a provisional remedy? That's a remedy that you can get before the case is over. That means up front. So when you file the complaint, you can actually seek a prejudgment writ of attachment to try to attach the assets of the wrongdoer who took the money or property, personal or real property, in bad faith, and try to attach the property so that it doesn't go anywhere. So that, because typically what you may see, and we've seen in other cases, is the person will dispose of the wrongdoer will dispose of the money very quickly, spend it, go to Vegas, whatever they're doing, buying things. So if you can freeze their assets at the time you file a lawsuit, that could be a nice, powerful provisional remedy that could force them to come forward and plead their defenses early on and basically, make their case on why they didn't commit elder abuse. So it's a nice provisional remedy. You also have really nice provisions for attorney fees. If you're successful in vindicating your case, you can seek attorney fees. You have the right for punitive damages, pain and suffering damages, lots of different things that are possible in a financial elder abuse case. So give us a call. I'm attorney Steve Vondran, and I'm licensed to practice law in California and Arizona. We are here to protect the rights of seniors, people that have worked hard for themselves, hard for their families, and as they're getting a little bit older in life, sometimes unfortunately you let your guard down a little bit, but that doesn't mean that other predators can come in like vultures and take everything that you've worked really hard for. So if you think you might be a victim, give us a call. We'll give you a free consultation. We'll talk to you about your case, find out what's going on, and advise you as to whether or not you have good grounds for filing a lawsuit. So thank you again for listening. You can find us once again at attorneysteve.net or call us at 877-276-5084. We look forward to working with you.